Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, it is unfortunately not going to have any training, but what it is going to have is a review and sort of first initial impressions of this shoe, which is the Altra Vanish Tempo. I've done probably between 25 and 30 miles in these, so not a huge amount of running, but it has given me a very good indication as to things that I like and don't like about the shoe. If you've ever watched any of my videos before, you'll know that I'm a big fan of Altra. I've done a lot of running in their Escalante Pro Racers, from Ironman to marathon, ultra marathon, you can name it, and I've sort of done it in that shoe. Lots of different sessions from tempo, threshold, VO2 max, the lot, and I love that shoe. So what I'm going to do, because that was sort of a racy spec shoe, and no, this isn't Altra's latest like race shoe. They do have a carbon version of this, which I will be doing a similar sort of thing, reviewing in probably a month's time, maybe 2-3 weeks. But I'm going to compare it to that shoe because they're both sort of the higher end, sort of fairly speedy type shoes that Altra have produced. And you know, when I was looking for a new set of training shoes, I wanted something that was similar to the Escalante Pro Racers, and went with these. So if there's anyone else out there that's sort of looking for a new training or even race shoe, especially in Altra's range, and have used the Escalante Pro Racers before like I had, then yeah, you can kind of get an idea as to what this shoe is all about and the comparisons. There's a lot of differences, some similarities, and ultimately at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my opinion on the shoe. Do I like it? Do I not like it? Would I recommend it? And yeah, and sort of the key differences. So to start with, I'm going to try and break it up. And if I do remember, which I haven't done in previous videos, I will put timestamps in the description below so you can kind of see what sort of section of the video you want to go to. But what I'm going to start with is sort of the shoe itself, just from sort of analysing and looking at the shoe, and then sort of move towards the sort of actual feeling of running in the shoe towards the end of the video. Like I said, I'll give you my opinions. So on initial impressions, it looks a lot different to the Pro Racer, I believe anyway. The Escalante Pro Racers sort of don't have this sort of thick bit here. This is kind of starting to look more like a traditional running shoe. It's got quite a steep sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, like rocker I suppose, there. Which the Pro Racer didn't have. So it kind of almost looks like it's going to be a softer shoe. Also, it doesn't look quite as like wide, like the foot shape. It doesn't, the Pro Racer, when you look at the sole of the foot shape, and I'll see if I've got some footage that I can overlay, you can quite clearly see how wide the foot is. This one obviously still looks a lot wider than your traditional running shoes, but it doesn't look quite as wide as the Pro Racers. Also, something else that I noticed just looking at it is that the weight distribution, it sounds a bit, I don't know, this might just be me, but the weight distribution in the shoe feels a lot different to the Pro Racer. The Pro Racer, it felt like the weight was not well distributed, because I do think this is well distributed, but it was evenly spread across the whole shoe. And by the whole shoe, I mean sort of like the top of the shoe and the bottom. This, when you feel it, it feels very much like bottom heavy. So like, I don't really know how to explain it, but you can feel the weight of the shoe is towards the bottom. I thought that was going to feel a bit funny running. Turns out basically it doesn't really affect the running, but it was something that I felt when just sort of having a feel of the shoe. I think it's because, so going on to the stack height on this, they're both zero drop shoes. Doesn't look very zero drop, especially when you put it on a flat surface. You can again see that sort of rocker. But they do claim to both be zero drop shoes. And then again, I'm going to refer to notes so I don't mess up. The stack height in the Pro Racers was 22 mil. This is 33 mils. There's a big difference. And you can tell when you're running, you can feel that the difference in height. I think that is what makes the weight distribution feel different to the Pro Racer, because the shoe's higher off the ground. You can feel more of the weight in sort of the bottom half of the shoe. It feels like a taller shoe, so you feel the weight difference, I suppose, from top to bottom a little bit more. Like I say, it doesn't affect the running as such when you actually put them on, but yeah, that was something that I noticed. Also, just squeezing the foam, it feels a lot softer than the Pro Racers. And again, the Pro Racers probably are made to be a little bit stiffer because they're a race shoe. This isn't a full race shoe, although it is a fast shoe. But yeah, you can tell that definitely the foam is a lot softer in this shoe. It's still got a nice amount of padding through sort of, I don't know the technical terms, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm not like these super reviewers, but yeah, the padding around the back half of the shoe, I suppose, where the sort of Achilles sits is nice. That's got a good amount of padding, but then the tongue doesn't have as much. And then I'm getting dirt everywhere. And then weight-wise, I thought these were going to be heavier than the Pro Racers because of that weird sort of weight feel. Turns out they are slightly heavier, but by only 2 grams. So these come in, supposedly, I haven't weighed them myself, I can't lie, at 195 grams, whereas the Pro Racers come in at 193 grams. So not too much difference. And when you put them on, you don't actually feel that difference. Something else to note is, upon like looking at the shoe, something that I loved about my Pro Racers was the breathability. These have the exact same sort of mesh style upper of the shoe. Again, I don't know the technical terms, but they're super breathable, which and helps, I suppose, the weight as well. But they're, yeah, feet don't overheat at all. And that is something that I love about both shoes, and they both definitely got that. So I suppose that's sort of on first sort of look and feel of the shoe. Looks, by the way, I may add, I think they look really cool. I like the white shoes. There's something that I really liked about the Pro Racers was sort of that all white kind of look. I really like that with these, where it looks cool when you wear white socks, I think, but there we are. Now I'm gonna talk about the differences. I suppose this is probably the bit that is a bit more interesting, and the sort of thing that I haven't been able to find on the internet yet is the difference in feel between the Pro Racers and these, because there's a big difference in feel. I thought, you know, Ultra being Ultra, they've got quite a, you know, with the zero drop and the wide toe box, I thought that a lot of their shoes would have a similar feel to them. This, it felt very different actually, and it took me to surprise a lot. So when I first sort of put this shoe on, you could instantly feel the rocker here. It was like night and day difference between the Pro Racer and this, and it did worry me a bit. You feel, although it's zero drop, when you walk in it, the Pro Racers was next to, I can't really do it with this, was next to flat. So when you walk in it, it felt like you were walking more barefoot. This, when you walk in it, when you put, look, hold the toe up, look, the difference there. If you did that in the Pro Racers, it would probably come to here. Whereas this is coming like right up there. You can really feel that rocker in the front end. And it scared me a little bit because I've come from a barefoot sort of running background. So yeah, that was what my initial thought was. It was, wow, that could really affect my running, basically. And then the next thing, which maybe I should have mentioned before, was putting it on. I like to wear my running shoes, is probably not very conventional, but quite loose. So when I use the Pro Racers, basically I slip them on and off. I don't tie up, re-tie up laces. I don't have elastic laces. I wear them quite loose. I can slip my foot in and out really easily. This one, after walking just around the house in them, I realized that my foot slips out the back. If I do that, my foot, like I do in the Pro Racers, my foot slips out of the back of this, like first step. Like you can instantly feel your heel slipping in and out. So I had to run the laces a little bit tighter, which meant the whole shoe was a bit tighter to my foot. And I thought that was going to have a massive impact on how I run, because I like to wear loose fitting shoes, as weird as that is. So I had to tighten up the laces, and I thought that might impact my running. So that made me a bit nervous. The other thing is, you definitely feel that this shoe is narrower than the Pro Racers. Again, when I wear the Pro Racers, I can move my toes around quite a bit. This, I still definitely can move my toes around, but not nearly as much as the Pro Racers. I actually think though, after doing some running, that I might even prefer this slightly narrower foot shape. It holds your foot in a bit more, and again, it's probably helped to the fact that I had to, you know, wear the laces a little bit tighter. Yeah, and that was sort of my first sort of feeling of the shoe after putting it on. Is it felt completely different to the Pro Racers. It scared me. But anyway, I thought I'll look past that and I will take them out for a run. So I did. Again, first few steps, my instant thought was, I hate this shoe. I need to get rid of them and go back to my Escalante Pro Racers. I can't run in these. And then after a few miles, my legs sort of settled into it, and I got the feeling of the shoe and could kind of understand the shoe a little bit better. I've done some speed sessions in this. So I've done some tempo, some threshold. I've done a few strides in this. Running in this shoe, doing easy runs is lovely. You instantly felt how much more cushion this had. So like I said, when you feel it and you can feel the thickness and the sort of 11mm extra stack height, you can feel that in this shoe when you take it for a run. It's a lot softer, which does unfortunately make it a little bit slower for the sort of strides. I felt like it kind of took a while to get up to speed a bit, because it was, I don't know, not sucking out the energy in my feet, but it didn't have the snap to it when you want to go from easy to sort of sprint. It didn't, yeah, you sort of have to get your legs turning over. It takes a little bit longer to get them turning over. Having said that, once I do get them up to speed, they feel great. I thought the softness might, you know, once you are up to speed, it might still sort of draw back from speed and sort of zap it out your legs a bit and suck up sort of that snappiness. I don't think it does, although I do definitely believe that they are a more tempo shoe. I would use them for like shorter distances, like 5K and stuff, just because I do quite like the shoe and I'm not overly fussy with it, and I don't have a huge shoe selection to pick from, but they are definitely more of a tempo shoe. I think for half marathon to marathon efforts, these would be amazing. I think the Escalante Pro Racers, I think they're a great shoe from 5K to marathon and beyond. They're a lot stiffer, they're lower to the ground, but the only thing about the Pro Racers, I think, is they're not quite as comfy as these. And also I quite like this rocker effect now. It kind of, not forces you, but it feels more natural. No, I don't know. It makes you want to run on your toes a little bit more, I think, in these, just because, so when you stride in these, you can feel the ball of your feet actually hitting the floor a lot more than you can in the Pro Racers, because this has so much rocker. The point of impact, the rest of the shoe is in the air, so you can really feel the ball of your feet hitting the floor. But in the Pro Racers, whilst you can definitely still feel it, because the shoe's a lot more flat, even when you like, it's harder, you've got less I don't know, like feedback from the shoe, I suppose, to where you hit the floor, because it's, yeah, the shoe's so flat that you could be on the balls of your toes and before you know it, the whole shoe's on the floor. I hope you kind of get what I'm trying to say there. Basically, it feels like you want to run on your toes a little bit more in this shoe, which again I thought was going to be opposite because of the extra cushion. I thought it was going to make you feel like you want to use your heel a lot more, but you don't. The other thing that I found in these shoes is heels are a bit funny. Downhill, these feel great, I think, because of the extra softness. You can run downhill quite fast in these. Uphills, again, with that sort of same, going back to that sort of the hardness of the Pro Racers, these don't have sort of the same snap in the shoe when you're trying to go uphill quite fast. What else? I did find also that with the slightly thinner sort of sole of the shoe, it felt, I could feel, it was slightly less stable, I suppose. I don't want to make it sound like this isn't a stable shoe, because it's far more stable than most other shoes out there. Just wasn't quite as stable as the Pro Racers. Also, that might be because of the stack height, because it's slightly higher off the floor. You feel you're not as connected to the floor. I think that might be it in terms of feel. Supposed to just wrap it up. Escalante Pro Racers or these? I'm gonna go with these. It's hard. I don't know. Do I prefer them? I don't know. I mean, look, they're both great shoes. In fact, I'm not even going to make a decision. I love both shoes. I'm going to carry on wearing these going forward, just because my Pro Racers are absolutely dead now. This might change after 25 miles. I might start to hate them. I haven't raced in them yet, so that might be a big thing. I might not feel as good racing in them. So far, I think I prefer these, but I'm not 100% sure. You're going to have to make a decision on what you want. Hopefully, that's sort of given you an insight into the differences in the Pro Racers and these shoes, a bit of a review of just these shoes in general. They're a great shoe. You definitely have to wear them tighter than the Pro Racers because your foot will slip out. They're a little bit less stable, but the cushioning, the rocker, yeah, the overall feel of the shoe, it feels like a faster shoe than the Pro Racers. So I think that is everything. I've probably missed something. If I have, or if you've got any questions about either shoe, let me know in the comments below, and I will do my absolute best to get back to all of them and answer any questions. Again, keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to have the Vanish Carbons hopefully soon, and I can do another sort of shoe review, maybe comparing them to both this and then the Pro Racer, because I think that the carbon ones, I assume, they're going to be a little bit stiffer as they are the actual sort of race shoe as opposed to these. And I will see you next time for some more triathlon related content. Peace.